It's virtual CES 2021 at Geekazine.com. Consumer Electronics Show 2021, Jeffrey Powers here, and we are here with Ira from Crew in the Box. Really cool. I got to talk to you guys last week, and just amazing. And people like you and I are looking for ways to take cameras, send cameras, and video equipment to other people so that we can have one-on-one conversations like this. And because a lot of times it's like coming from really bad webcams, coming from really bad lights. And I do have to admit there's been a couple interviews where it's not been great video. Audio's been decent, so you just have to live with it. But you're in an industry where you can't have bad video. So you created this. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Crew in the Box.
Sure. So I'm Ira Rosensweig, and I'm a commercial director by trade. Over the past, I have my own production company, Wavemaker Creative, but I also freelance for other companies. And, I've done some Super Bowl spots the last few years. And luckily, most of the clients or the talent, I should say, that I work with are celebrities. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I think it was March 17th, when the LA lockdown order went into effect, or at least was being talked about, I panicked like I figure a lot of other people did, and didn't know when I was going to get back to work. So I said to myself, what could I do to get myself and my friends back to work faster? And so I was seeing what people were doing, and people were quickly adopting, they were doing Zoom calls essentially to make commercials. And obviously we know the quality of that's going to be if you're just using your internal camera. I was also seeing people have talent use iPhones to shoot themselves. That presents its own problems, even though the quality of the video might be a little bit better than just a laptop camera. Or they were sending drop kits, and a lot of the times talent was responsible for filming themselves. And that is the last thing that you want talent to be worried about, assembling equipment and putting it together and then making sure they look good. So I thought to myself, I have the relationships. If I could come up with a solution that would be essentially plug and play, so we could send talent, effectively a kit, but make it not a kit. It really just an all-in-one solution that just works. That's super high quality. I thought that it would be adopted. And so that's exactly what we did. That day, I came up with the idea for Crew in a Box, and I immediately recruited a couple friends of mine to help me make it a reality. One is Dallas Sterling, who's a really innovative DP that I've worked with. And, he's just great at building things as well. And so I brought him on, and then Jeremy Fernsler, who has been a friend of mine since college. He was the VFX supervisor for Westworld last season. He came on to write the software, and we all collaborated. And within a couple of months, we had a working prototype. And essentially, what it is, Crew in a Box it integrates a 6K cinema camera, a 3-foot wide expandable LED light. There's 3 panels, bicolor, dimmable each panel, so you can really shape the light better than a lot of other kinds of kits I've seen with just ring lights. 2 microphones, industry standard lavalier, and essentially a short shotgun. And then that all, a 35 millimeter Canon Prime lenses come standard, but we can also put different lenses on there. And the camera is shooting through beam splitter glass. So it's an integrated teleprompter / Interrotron, but you can use it for, to teleprompt or to put the director on there, but you can really use it for anything, for roundtable discussions. If you have different Crew in a Box units at different people's places, they can all look at each other straight in the eyes and look directly in the camera. You can really use it for anything. There's also a side monitor if you don't want to do direct address that pulls out, so you can have off-axis eye lines with that monitor doing all the things that frontal one does. So it's a super versatile system. And the great thing about it is when you send it to talent, all talent has to do is take the lid off and plug it in. It immediately connects over a cellular bonded connection, and we get control of it remotely. We control all those components that I already spoke about remotely, and all talent is responsible for doing is positioning the box. Okay. The great thing also is, since we're shooting 6K, especially with higher level talent who don't want to do take after take, if you shoot somebody in a medium shot like this, you can zoom in post to kind of have a non-artifacted close-up as well. So that also helps cut down on time.
Does that record at the box and then you pull it later, or are you? Because you talk about bonded cellular, but that only goes so far when you're talking high res video.
So there is an ATEM Mini Pro in there. So if you wanted to live stream directly out of the box, you could. However, most of the time we are recording to solid state drives in the box. We load it up with typically, we have a caddy in there that takes 4 drives. We usually put in like 2 terabyte drives. So if you're recording 6K raw at 5:1 compression, you're essentially getting 16 hours right in the box before you even have to reload the caddy.
Wow. And I'm assuming, well, if it's still cellular bonded, the box needs to come back before the video comes off of it to be used for anything. So
there's a number of ways actually we can do that. I mean, if you are just recording a short clip and want to get that immediately, we can initiate a remote transfer. The talent doesn't even have to be part of it. We just upload it directly. I mean, that takes some time depending on the file size. Or, we can customize it any number of ways. We can ship the hard drive directly to the client. If you want transcoding, we can have a DIT in that city, do that for you. So there's a number of ways to skin it.
Yeah, this is also a white glove service type situation where somebody can come to the house or wherever and either set it down, set it up, and then pick it up afterwards, correct?
That's correct. I mean, we offer Crew in a Box a number of ways. First, they're available for purchase. And if so, we provide full tech support and training to make sure everybody knows exactly how to use it so they're not reliant on us for the services. But you can also rent it rent it with an operator, or what our most popular offering is a full service production through Wavemaker Creative, where the rental and operator are line items, but we also are involved in producing the whole thing. And as you said, it's kind of a white glove service. We also, we can send it directly in the case as it's intended to be, but a lot of our clients like when we send it to like an AC in the city that we're shooting in. So they'll get it, we'll prep them on it, they'll set it up on a cart, literally set it up entirely outside the door. So all talent has to do is open the door, wheel it in and plug it in, and they're ready to go. I mean, it's funny when I start talking about this, a lot of times people react like, oh, great, another piece of automation that's going to kill my job. But I tell them, like, we hire for a typical job 6 or 7 people sometimes for these jobs. And if we weren't being hired, they'd just be shooting with an iPhone. So we have, director, producer, coordinators, teleprompter operators, Crew in a Box operators, sometimes AC. So it's actually created a lot of jobs in the pandemic, which has been great.
Yeah, I've been looking at that box, and it's like, you're always looking for different areas. So, we could definitely talk where, I'd have a box here, and if anybody ever had need for it in Madison, Wisconsin, then I'd be the person that would be the white glove service.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we have relationships with different companies that have bought them and they provide that service, or rental houses we're having conversations with. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you're here at CES. Was there, what were your plans? Are you looking for other people to just awareness of Crew in a Box, or what was your plan?
It was mostly awareness. Before now, we've sold some units, but we really haven't put an emphasis on it at all. It was just really about making really great products and renting it and doing the full service productions. But CES was kind of our purchase launch pad. So that's one of the reasons. But yeah, we just wanted to get the word out and thought it would be a good place to do that.
Okay. When did your first Crew in a Box go out? What was the first gig?
Trying to remember. It was we went live in June, mid-June. And so I think our first gig was a corporate McDonald's conference, actually. And it was kind of a trial by fire. The box flew. We had one box at the time. It was still the prototype. We flew it to Atlanta on a Thursday, Florida on a Friday, and Chicago on a Saturday. I mean, so that was very hairy, but it all went off well, and kind of was proof of concept that it would work.
Yeah, and since then I've seen you've used this for some pretty high end celebrity style interviews. Anything like late night shows or anything like that using Crew in a Box? No,
and that's one of the areas that immediately struck me as people who should be using it, and that's kind of going to be part of our sales push now. But a lot of them had returned to the stage in some way, but they're still having their guests zoom in, and it still looks terrible. So if I were the producer of the show, I'd buy a couple Corona boxes and send, have one in New York, one in LA, and send them out to my guests every day. But that's just me.
Absolutely. No, I'm the same way. I'm looking at this box and lots of things I like about it, like the fact that the lights fold up, the fact you don't have a ring light in there. I'm not a fan of ring lights, especially if you're not using them as they're intended to be used. You might as well just have a regular panel light, and you have 3 panel lights right across the board, which is great.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, but yeah, it's really interesting. The biggest question is the box looks a little bit bulky, a little bit big. How heavy is that for somebody set up?
So inside the box, I'm trying to remember the exact figures. I think in the case, but think of it as just like a large suitcase. It has a handle and wheels. In the case, I think it's 68 pounds, and it's about 2 by 2 by 1.5. If you take it out of the case, however, the case itself weighs 21 pounds. So it's 47 pounds out of the case, and about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. So, once you take it out, it's certainly easier to handle. But the other thing is, like, we now have people, the new models we're making are also tripod mountable. So we've now had people do stage shoots where they take it out and actually, like, it's weird. We did a stage shoot for Fox where there were 3 stages with a multi-platform thing. It was on 2 of the stages, they had traditional crews. On the 3rd stage, which is a green screen shoot, they chose to use Corona Box instead. So somebody was there with a tripod actually, like, operating it. And that's one of the new ways that we're using it.
Oh, that's cool. Getting back to the shows, I know that there's always issues with unions. And have you run into anything like that for putting out a Corona Box?
No, not yet. So yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, what are the union, like, what union issues are you thinking of?
Oh, I'm not exactly sure everything, because this isn't really my area of expertise. But I know I've dealt with some live stream situations where we've gone into like a conference center. And then we'd have to always have a union person available to oversee the production. And if you're working with television or movies, I'm not sure how that works in that aspect.
In person, there are a lot of union rules now for in-person production. So you need a COVID compliance officer. You need to do testing. You need to do all these things. Because we're remote, those things don't apply to us. But we're still very safe. Like, if there's any situation where one of our ACs goes into somebody's home or a stage to operate, they get tested potentially multiple times. So, like, it's really just with COVID figuring that stuff out.
Okay. So do you think, I'm just kind of curious, do you think once we get past this stage of COVID where we can actually start meeting up person in person, do you think Crew in the Box would still be around?
I do. It's funny. This was when I came up with the idea. It was fully intended for the pandemic. Like, it was just kind of tunnel vision pandemic. But then we had our first call with I did a couple demos, one for Fox, one for Viacom, and I think it was the Fox call where I had kind of saw it as mostly for commercials and promos, direct address kind of stuff. But somebody came on and was like, "This is amazing for press junkets, like, talent hates going to them. We can just queue reporters up in a waiting room and send them a backdrop potentially and do press junkets that way." Other people were like, "This is great. If sometimes it's hard to find crews in remote areas, we can just send a crew in a box." So there's all these ways. I mean, it's interesting. I'll give you an example. Like, we did a shoot for Disney, the Disney family of networks, where we shot 14 people in 14 different locations in 3 days, all over the place. You couldn't, like, that would not be cost effective doing it another way. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of the travel and all the other things. So there are certain logistically complicated projects that I think Crew in a Box and just remote productions in general will still, there will be a place for them going forward.
Oh yeah, definitely. Do you see a smaller version of Crew in the Box, or do you like what's in the box to say that this is it?
People have asked before. So, we were lucky that we won this like IABM award called the Create Award that they gave to like the best new technology of 2020 for for video acquisition. And one of the things the judges remarked is that they thought it would be a game changer for talking heads. And I think, that is really I think the biggest advantage of using Crew in a Box, and the fact that there is the integrated Interatron teleprompter. That screen is 15 inches wide. If we were to shrink that down further, the first problem would be the utility of that screen. I mean, I would assume you could go down to 12, but once you start getting smaller than that, it starts to become really hard to read. There's just a lot of components in the box that you'd be surprised if you got your hands on one to just see like the orientation, like how everything is fit inside. So we would love to make it smaller. It's just the challenge of how do you do that?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And it is versatile. You've already said that there's a Blackmagic Mini in there.
Yeah, we currently have a Blackmagic 6K. However, we're making a new box now with a red Komodo, which is going really well. So that'll be kind of the next iteration that we'll offer.
I thought you said you had a Mini Pro in there.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
that's correct.
So you can do more than one camera if you need to. So it would expand out to a 2 to 3 camera shoot, if actually up to 4 camera shoot if you need it.
Right.
You just need to figure out how somebody would switch it from there if it's coming back to you via something like the I can't think of the name of the little box that came with the streaming bridge.
Oh yeah, it's actually a PepWave PepLink. It's like it's got like 4 SIM cards in there and stuff. But you're right. The challenge would be if you connected more cameras, how do you switch between them? And I think the most we've ever done in one location is 2. We've done that a couple of times. We have another shoot this next week, I should say, that's involved when we're hooking a second camera up to the HM. But you can do up to 3 additional cameras.
Okay. Now, you said that somebody can control it from remote, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your own personal software, or is that through third-party software?
So we're using TeamViewer to basically have someone remote into. There's a Mac Mini inside that they remote into that everything is connected through. And so, but Jeremy wrote proprietary software in order to connect to the camera. Blackmagic had some phone apps that would allow you to communicate over. You need it on a mobile device and can communicate over, I guess Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I forget exactly what that program used, but we wanted to be able to communicate from the Mac Mini. So he wrote software to do that and gave us better controls than we would have ever had through just the native software. We can have pretty precise manual focus now too, which is great. So he gave us that capability as well.
That's crazy. So, wow, I could talk about this for hours, and I'd love to hear some of the stories that you have, and I'd love to actually see the Crew on the Box. That'd be key. Right now, if somebody wanted to say, I want to purchase one of these things for my studio or whatever, what are the prices?
So it's $55,000 for the Blackmagic 6K model. And then it's going to be, we're still working out the price for the Komodo version. It's going to be a little bit more. But to rent will start at $5,000 a day. And then we discount it to $4,000 a day if you want Wavemaker to do a full service production. So that line item drops, but we certainly, we do custom budgets for every job. So, if we give multi-box discounts and multi-day discounts and really just want to make it available to as many people who want it. So I would just encourage anyone who's interested to get in touch and see if we can work it out.
Okay. And Wavemaker is your parent company on this.
Correct.
And, yes. But what types of shoots does your company do then? Is it pretty much the same thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, before Crew in a Box and before the pandemic, we would do commercial shoots, anything from, we sometimes take on smaller jobs, anything through a multi-million-dollar Nike Foot Locker campaign that we did last year. We shot 15 spots for, but yeah, we work a lot with networks doing promos or commercials, and now with Crew in a Box, we've worked with ad agencies, networks, production companies. A lot of times we work directly with production companies. They're still the production company of record, but they hire us as a vendor to take care of all the remote production end of it. So we can do it a number of ways.
So you say that your business has grown pretty well with this box, correct?
Yeah, for sure. And now, it's weird. Like the pandemic's obviously affected everyone in terrible ways, my family included, even though that like Crew in a Box has done well business wise, the pandemic sucks. So it's weird. Yeah. It's like when things get harder for everyone production wise, we get more calls. But believe me, like as a director, I would much rather be on set directing things. I'm hoping this is just a temporary thing, and we can all kind of go back to life as usual as soon as
Absolutely.
possible.
Yeah. This job is what gets me out to Las Vegas, to California. Last year I was at a Cinema Expo. Was that the name of it? At Paramount. And just a whole bunch of stuff. And I've met a whole bunch of great people. I don't do shoots like you do. I just basically do videos on my own, and of course interviews like this. But it's good to know that if I was to have a one-on-one interview with Barack Obama, The Rock, let's see, any of the people that you had on your list there that I saw in that promo, that I know of a way to get a professional looking system out to them. So when I do the interview and I get the video back, it's going to look as pristine as possible. So
yeah, we'd love to help you out if the need ever arises.
So is it, what's the website for people to find more information?
Sure. It's www.crewinabox.com. And we have a lot of information about the system, as well as I think there's about 6 sample videos of projects that we've shot on there, so you can get an idea of quality and some of the capabilities that it has. But I encourage anyone, if they have any questions, to just reach out to us.
And your main company, that website?
And Wavemaker Creative. I also have a personal directing website, which is IraRosensweig.com, if anyone's interested.
Okay. Are you on IMDb too?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to look you up. So.
Right, cool.
We do that in the evening. It's like we look to see who's done what and what movies or TV shows or whatnot they've gone through. Is there anything on the list that I'll go, oh, I've seen that?
Probably. I mean, there's IMDb now lists commercials, so you're probably going to be familiar with a bunch of those and some of the pieces of content that I've done. I've done some series, and I'm actually now in the middle of trying to make a movie, a very contained movie that would theoretically use Crew in a Box to shoot it. So it's a very pandemic friendly contained thing that we're, fingers crossed. It looks like we have financing, but those things, you never know until you're on set shooting to know if that's really true.
Well, I wish you luck on that. And of course, when it comes out, I'll definitely be watching it and go for it. We'll also talk in the future here, because very interested in your box, and whenever I get a chance to see it, I'd love to. And let's keep the conversation going.
Sounds great, Jeffrey. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for watching this video for the CES Virtual by Geekazine. If you're over on geekazine.com or youtube.com/Geekazine, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. Until next time, you guys geek out and take care.